prayers.
Good morning. Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for your grace and mercy toward us. We thank you for bringing us here together in this assembly. And we ask that as we deliberate on matters of national importance, that you would be with us, that you would help us to exercise respect to others in the debates today. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Please be seated. Motion for the approval of the order paper as circulated.
I recognize the member for Nevis 3.
Madam President, I rise to seek approval for the order paper as circulated.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? I recognize the honorable nominated member.
Madam President, I move to second the move to accept the order paper as circulated.
Thank you. The question is that the order paper as circulated be approved. Those in favor?
Aye.
Those against? The ayes have it.
Messages from the Deputy Governor General.
We have no messages today.
Announcements by the President.
No special announcements. I just want to welcome all the members to today's sitting and ask that those who are joining us in the gallery would exercise the regular decorum by keeping your devices on silent. Thank you.
Papers to be laid. Statements by ministers.
I recognize the honorable nominated member, Minister of Education et al.
Madam President, good morning.
Good morning.
And good morning to the Honorable House. I rise to make a brief statement. And my statement is to congratulate our primary school students who are graduating from primary school at this time, Madam President. As you would know, this is the season for primary school graduations. We've had a few graduations before. I believe there is one that's happening at this time, the Charlestown Primary School. They're having their graduation as we speak. And we have a graduation this afternoon, graduations tomorrow, and then we will finish up next week. So I want to say heartfelt congratulations to all of our students who are graduating. I also want to highlight and make mention of the class of 2025 of the Cicely Brown Integrated School. They would have had their graduation, I believe it was on Monday, and I was happy to attend that graduation ceremony, Madam President. I want to congratulate the principal of the school, the staff of the school, all of the parents of the students, and all of those from the community who go and give assistance to the Cicely Brown Integrated School. Too often, Madam President, the differently abled in our society, they are either forgotten or they are overlooked or looked down upon. So I was very delighted, Madam President, to be at the graduation and to see them looking so beautifully and to see them shining in their moment. So it was truly a delight for me. And I believe that all of us here on the island of Nevis should embrace those among us who are differently abled in whatever way, Madam President. So I want to say, Madam President, congratulations to all of the students in the primary school. I want to extend, Madam President, also a heartfelt congratulations to all of our primary school principals, the teachers, and all of the other members of staff of our primary schools here on Nevis. They do a wonderful job, Madam President, and the work that they do is truly appreciated, Madam President. They are the ones who are responsible for taking care of our young children throughout the day. I don't think that it is something that we should, oftentimes we gloss over it, but I think it's something that is really important, because when our children are at school and learning, it's not just that they're at school, they are there, and it gives us the opportunity, Madam President, to be able to go out and to work and to earn and so on. And so I want to really commend our teachers and the members of staff for taking care of our youngsters while we are able to go to our various workplaces and jobs and so on, and able to make a living, Madam President. So the work that they're doing is really, really important, and I want to let them know that I am grateful, and I know the entire island of Nevis is also grateful for the work that they are putting in, Madam President. I also want to say something to our young graduates in particular, because I know that this is a big moment for them. A lot of them have had to come through some struggles and some hardships and so on. And because of the position that I hold, I am aware of some of the struggles that some of our young students are having. And I want to encourage them to continue to persevere. High school is going to be a very big step for these young people. And for those who have been doing well, I want to encourage them to continue. And for those who have not done so well in primary school, it's an opportunity for a fresh start. So I want to encourage them to really buckle down and try to hone their talents as best as they can. They have an entire island that's really rooting for them and looking out for them, Madam President. And so I want to give them that admonishing, Madam President. I would also like to, before I go, I know all of our students have been doing well, but there are some students who have done exceptionally well, and I want to make mention of a few of them. I've been given some names from our public primary schools on Nevis. I know we also have private primary schools, but unfortunately I did not get the names in time, so hopefully at some point in time I'll get them and I'll be able to highlight those also. But I want to highlight the top girl and the top boy from each of the public primary schools. So at the Joycelyn Liebert Primary School, we had Juliana Freeman and Mr. Jevon Jones. At the St. Thomas's Primary School, we had Ania Sinanarain and Rejan Rollins. And forgive me if I don't get all of the names right. We have some very expensive names around here now. And from the Elizabeth Pemberton Primary School, we have Amaya Archibald and Jamarian Doe. And I will say that young Mr. Doe is a close family member of mine. His dad is my cousin. And while I'm at it, let me make special mention of Amaya Archibald, who at her graduation, which was yesterday, she went up to do the valedictory speech. And in going up to the stage, she's a very shy young lady. And so she was overcome with emotion. She got really emotional. And I was very pleased, Madam President, that in spite of the fact that she got so emotional when heading up to the stage, that she was able to stand up there at the podium, compose herself, and then deliver the valedictory speech. So we have some young people, Madam President. They're very resilient. And so I thought I would make mention of that since it happened yesterday and it was fresh in my mind. From the Charlestown Primary School, we have Michaelia Bailey and Jaden Brathwaite. From the VOJN Primary School, we have Shanita Roberts and Manuel Newpain. From the St. James Primary School, we have Naira Blake and Adrian Douglas Jr. And from the Ivor Walters Primary School, we have Duchess Hutton and Jeremy Liebert. So I want to extend the congratulations to all of those top students. You know, they are certainly a source of pride for all of us here on the island of Nevis. I know their families are very, very proud, Madam President. I want to say congratulations again to all of our young people. May God continue to bless all of them, and may God continue to bless the island of Nevis. Thanks a lot, Madam President. May it please you.
Thank you, Member, for your presentation. I recognize the Honourable Nominated Member or Minister of Health et al. And while she's coming, I just wanted to recognize the presence with us of the Deputy Speaker in the National Assembly, and thank you for being here. And to express also that we have apologies that we received earlier today from the member for Nevis 1, who has indicated that he will be arriving late at today's sitting. Thank you.
Good morning, Madam President, members on the government benches, members opposite, individuals in the gallery, and those listening and viewing online. Good morning. I rise to make some brief remarks, Madam President, in regards to the Ministry of Health, Gender Affairs, and Social Empowerment. I want to start with a pleasant announcement that the city of Charlestown has been recognized by the PAHO, WHO, as an age-friendly city. And this, Madam President, is the first such age-friendly city designation in the entire Eastern Caribbean. So Little Nevis is definitely making an impact in that realm. And that is not just a title, Madam President. That is a recognition that here in Nevis we are doing and putting things in place to ensure that our aging population is included, engaged, and supported in a way that is recognized not only locally, but on an international scale that deserves to be recognized and promoted. So in that realm, I want to be able to thank my team at the Department of Social Services, those in the Ministry of Health, the community caregivers, because it is the people on the ground. Those are the ones putting in the day-to-day effort to keep these programs going, to go visit these seniors on a daily basis and provide this essential care and engagement to keep us going in such a admirable fashion, Madam President. Madam President, I will divert a bit from that note. I think we can all recognize here in Nevis and the Caribbean and globally, we are going through a heat wave. And so as we enter into our summer festival activities, Mango Festival, I'm sure Member for number 3 will elaborate more on the Culturama Festival activities. But I want to take this opportunity as the Minister with responsibility for health to encourage our visitors, our patrons to these festivals and activities to party safely. So consider your health when you're going out, Madam President. I want individuals to be able to stay hydrated, drink responsibly. I know in the Caribbean sometimes we have a tendency to think that we can drink and drive for some very odd reason, but designate a driver. We don't want any accidents on the road. We don't want to overwhelm our healthcare staff who are there to support us in times of need, but we want to avoid all preventable incidents during this wonderful festive season. I want to also advise us to continue to do things like using sunscreen, come out of the sun if you're feeling lightheaded, dizzy, those type of things we have to be conscious of as we move through the season, Madam President. I also want to make note that we are continuously monitoring our infectious diseases. So we monitor all the respiratory diseases, chickenpox, those things tend to flare up more during the festive season. So all the lessons that we had from COVID-19, washing our hands, distancing when we can, general hygiene matters, I'm encouraging us to keep those active, to keep our numbers low, and to keep ourselves safe. Along the same vein, similar vein in the Ministry of Health, Madam President, we have a visiting team of specialists on the island. They are a team of pulmonology specialists, and they're here on the island offering free screening services to the people of Nevis. No cost, that's $0 being asked from the people of Nevis to get these essential free screening services. So these individuals are currently on the ground. They have patients who they've already seen on their last visit. They have openings for new patients, and I'm told that today they're seeing new patients from 1 to 4 at the Alexandra Hospital. Tomorrow is for the repeat follow-up patients, but I had a conversation with them this morning, and they did indicate their willingness to accommodate other individuals who might see a need and want to come and take advantage of that. So I encourage our people, especially those who have issues such as snoring, heavy snoring, shortness of breath, asthma, smokers, ex-smokers, elderly persons with any respiratory issues. Those are individuals in particular who should target this screening services, and then we'll be able to accommodate you and help with that follow-up care, help with diagnosis. The best way to be able to improve your health is to know what is actively going on with your health, Madam President. So this is an opportunity, and I want everyone to be able to go out and take advantage, detect early, and we can all breathe easier, literally and figuratively. So with those few words, Madam President, I leave you.
Thank you very much, Honourable Member. I recognize the member for Nevis 3.
Thank you very much, Madam President, and let me greet all of us who are here in the Island Assembly chambers. I rise, Madam President, with your leave, to make some brief updates as well with regards to my ministry. I will touch briefly on a few things in agriculture and then culture. Madam President, I just wanted to report to this Honourable House, and of course to all those who are listening and viewing online, that the Department of Agriculture would have hosted another successful Agriculture Awareness Month during the month of May. Of course, this Awareness Month would have started about 11 years ago when I was the permanent secretary in that ministry, and it has been going strong. And so we would have hosted the Agriculture Awareness Month during the entire month of May, and the focus primarily would have been on training. We would have had at least 3 training exercises, one focused on crop protection, one focused on intensive agriculture, predominantly livestock production, and one focused on backyard gardening. And so those would have gone very successfully. We would have partnered with a number of institutions to host these training sessions. One, of course, we would have partnered with an institution from Trinidad and Tobago who were here to assist us with that training. We would have also done some work in our primary as well as preschools and nurseries. Of course, we want to ensure that even at that level, the students can have an appreciation of the importance of agriculture and actually can get practical in terms of doing their own little agriculture at the schools. We've been trying over the years to ensure that the schools are involved. Of course, most of the schools have their school kitchen, and so the intent is for the schools to produce their own little food in their garden to sustain the kitchen. Madam President, of course, we have been focusing very heavily on agriculture on the island of Nevis. And of course, we would have known that in particular since COVID, a lot of attention has been placed on agriculture, and this administration has been supporting heavily the agricultural sector. I want to say that the work that we're doing here on the island of Nevis has not gone unnoticed, and we have gotten the attention of a number of islands in the sub-region. One such island is the island of Statia, And I must say that because of the work that we have been doing here on the island of Nevis in the agricultural sector, we are happy that we have actually inspired the folks on Statia, and they have this year, on the 13th of June, hosted their first ever agriculture exhibition. Of course, we know that during our Agri Expo on an annual basis, we do have a huge contingent coming from Statia. And because they have been so inspired, they decided to put on an agricultural exhibition on the island of Statia. And so they reached out to us, and we decided to support, to reciprocate, because normally for the past couple of years, we've had upwards of 150 persons coming from Statia to attend our agricultural exhibition. And so we thought it fitting that we should support them in their effort. And so, in supporting that effort, we decided to send a contingent to Statia for their inaugural exhibition. And so we had in excess of 30 persons traveling to Statia, and among the persons who traveled, we had persons from the Department of Agriculture. We had 3 business persons. We had A1 Farms, we had Val's Delight, we had Native Radiance, who journeyed with our staff down. We also had the patron for our Agri Expo for 2025. And of course, the Department of Agriculture would have also taken some items down to sell. My understanding is that most of what was taken by the Department of Agriculture, as well as our entrepreneurs, were practically sold out. And so they got a very warm welcome from the folks in Statia. We want to thank the folks in Statia for that very warm welcome, and of course for the support and for the patronage that they provided and they showed to our staff as well as the entrepreneurs as they journey down to Statia. Madam President, I would now turn my attention to culture, because this is the season. This is the season for culture. And so I want to turn my attention to Culturama. And I must say that Culturama is well on its way here on the island of Nevis. We would have hosted the official launch as well as the reveal of the contestants and participants on Friday the 20th of June at the waterfront in Charlestown. And Madam President, I must say that it went off exceptionally well. It was an awesome event, and I want to commend the persons who would have been involved in planning that event, commend the Culturama Committee and all who were involved in planning that event. The feedback has been overwhelming, all positive. I haven't heard any negative feedback in particular. And so the persons from Nevis who were there and those who were viewing online were able to get a glimpse of the contestants and the participants who will be taking part in our major shows for Culturama 51. We have 5 participants for Mr. Cool. We have 4 contestants for Miss Culture Swimwear. We have 4 contestants for Miss Culture Pageant. We have 5 schools that will be taking part in the Talented Youth Pageant. We have 15 junior Calypsonians. They were all there at the launch and at the reveal, and they were very well received, and they represented themselves exceptionally well. Of course, we are hosting Culturama this year under the patronage. Our patron this year is Mr. Halstead Suti Byron, who has really made his mark with regards to culture here on the island of Nevis. We want to once again congratulate him, and we thank him for accepting to be our patron for 2025. Of course, Culturama will be hosted. The official opening is on the 24th. That's Thursday, the 24th of July. It goes until the 5th of August. And I want to use this opportunity to encourage persons here on Nevis to support and, of course, encourage our friends and family in the diaspora to come home and be a part of the Caribbean's greatest summer line. I just want to quickly run through the activities because I don't think we will be back here in the house before Culturama officially starts. And so for those who may not be aware of what the activities are, I just want to run through the activities. And of course, I just want to indicate as well that we have some pre-activities. This evening, We're having a Calypso tent at the Kaiso Bar, right there on the island's main road in Coal Hill, starting at 7 o'clock, and we want persons to go and support the Calypsonians. On Saturday, the 5th of July, that's this coming Saturday, we have a Soca Teaser tent, and that will be happening at the Artisan Village. It is being hosted in collaboration with the Ministry of Tourism, and they will also be having a night market there. And so that promises to be a huge event this coming Saturday. On Friday, the 11th of July, we have the Soca Eliminations, and this year, actually, we have record number of Soca artists. I think we have close to 29 who will be taking part in the Soca competition this year. On Saturday, the 12th of July, we have the C51 Bar Crawl, powered by Carib. And of course, that is an island-wide event where the contestants get a chance to mix and mingle with persons from the general public. They will be making stops at several bars around the island. On Sunday, July the 13th, we have a Calypso tent, and that will be hosted at Mem's Pizzeria. On Saturday, July the 19th, we have the opening of the Cultural Village, and we have the Soca Monarch semi-finals, and of course, that will be taking place at the Cultural Village. On Sunday, July the 20th, we have the TDC Calypso semi-finals, and that will be taking place at the David Freeman Center of Excellence in Gingerland. On Wednesday, July the 23rd, that is the day prior to the official opening, we have the First Federal Cooperative Credit Union and Greenhouse Band Junior Calypso Finals. Now we come to the core activities, and those are the activities organized by the Cultural Committee. On July the 24th, Thursday, it's the official opening of the festival. On Sunday, July the 27th, we have the Miss Culture Swimwear and the Mr. Cool contest, and that will be held at the NIDAX Cultural Complex. On Monday, July the 28th, we have the National Bank Group Panorama Contest at the NIDAX Cultural Complex. And before that, we have Poets in the Square. We have Poets in the Square during that entire week from Monday to Friday. And I must say here on the Thursday, we will be featuring members of Cabinet who will be delivering their poems at the War Memorial Square there in Charlestown. On Tuesday, July the 29th, we have Poets in the Square again, and we have the Republic Bank Mr. and Miss Talented Youth Pageant at the NIDAX Cultural Complex. And we have 5 schools taking part this year. We have the Charlestown Primary, we have the St. Thomas's Primary, we have the VOJN Primary, we have the Elizabeth Pemberton Primary, we have the Joycelyn Libert Primary, and we have the Ivor Walters Primary School. Those will be taking part in the Talented Youth Pageant. On Wednesday, July the 30th, we have Poets in the Square again. On Thursday, July the 31st, we have the National Bank Soca Monarch Finals at the Cultural Village. Also Poets in the Square, that is the day when we'll have the cabinet members. And then on Friday, August the 1st, we have the TDC Senior Calypso Finals at the NIDAX Cultural Complex. And of course, we have Poets in the Square during the day. Saturday, August 2nd, we have the Culturama 51 Art, Craft, and Food Fair at the Malcolm Gishard Recreational Park. Madam President, that is normally, I believe, easily the biggest event during the festival, where almost all of Nevis and St. Kitts converge at the Malcolm Gishard Park. On Sunday, August the 3rd, we have the Bank of Nevis Miss Culture Queen Pageant at the NIDAX Cultural Complex. On Monday, August 4th, we have the Emancipation Juve Jump Up. On Tuesday, August 5th, we have the Culturama 51 Grand Street Parade and last lap through the streets of Charlestown. In terms of the fringe activities, and these are activities that are not organized directly by the Culturama Committee, we have on Saturday, July the 12th, we have what is called a Heat Wave Wet Fete taking place at the Cultural Village. On Sunday, July the 20th, we have a production from Agnola Productions. That's a drama event, and that's taking place at NIPAC. On Saturday, July the 26th, we have the Empire Sports Club Aquatic Extravaganza at the waterfront in Charlestown. And in the evening, we have Tropics at the MGR Park. On Wednesday, July the 30th, we have the Rhythms Dance Ensemble production at NIPAC. On Saturday, August the 2nd, we have the 5-in-1 Wet Fete at the Cultural Village. on Sunday, August the 3rd, we have the Nevis Equestrian Center horse racing at Cades Bay. And then on Monday, August the 4th, we have the first Federal Cooperative Credit Union Caribbean Culture Queen pageant at the NIDAX Cultural Complex. And we also have the Herbert Beach Affair taking place at Herbert Beach. And so, Madam President, that is, in a nutshell, is what is happening for Culturama 51. Of course, we know that we had a hugely successful festival in 2024, our 50th anniversary. That, of course, easily was the biggest and the best we've had in terms of the hosting of the festival. And so we are inviting folks again. We promise you that this year will be another extraordinary event. And so we are inviting all of Nevis and St. Kitts, of course, and all our family and friends in the diaspora to come home once again and be a part of Culturama 51. Of course, we are celebrating under the theme or under the slogan, Nevision Pride Second to None, Culturama 51. May it please you, Madam President. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I recognize the member for Nevis 1.
Thank you very much, Madam President, and let me say a very pleasant good morning to everyone in this honorable house, those members on this side, those members opposite, those persons in the gallery, those who are listening and viewing at this time. Madam President, I want to first of all apologize for my lateness. I sought to get in a bit of the Charleston Primary School graduation, but unfortunately, by the time I left, they have not started that activity as yet. Madam President, I want to be very brief this morning, and I think the last time I said that I wanted to be brief, I think that I tarried a little bit too long, so I've sought, Madam President, to make sure that I will be exceptionally brief this morning. Madam President, I want to speak very briefly on an event that was held here on Nevis recently as part of the Global Sustainable Island Summit 2025. The Nevis Island Administration hosted 2 days, Madam President, 2 forums at the Malcolm Gishard Recreational Park. Firstly, on the 26th of May 2025, the Geothermal Energy Forum. And this one-day event sought to explore the potential of geothermal energy in the Caribbean and for islands, where industry experts, policymakers, and innovators were brought together to discuss the latest advancements and opportunities in geothermal power generation. Learning, Madam President, from the experiences of Nevis. Among the almost 100 participants, we thought it was critically important to include local stakeholders, investors, island sustainability experts, and community representatives as participatory planning and decision makers, as those, Madam President, were very high on our agenda. The main goal of this forum were to share knowledge and experiences from Nevis's geothermal journey, to facilitate decisions on the role of geothermal energy in the Caribbean, with key stakeholders such as the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States, or the OECS, to explore the scalability of geothermal energy in the Caribbean, and discuss the barriers and challenges in addition to the opportunities of geothermal energy in the region. To engage stakeholders and ensure that islands and their local communities benefit from renewable energy transition. Madam President, I was honored to participate in this forum as a panelist to share the NIA's and my ministry's position on how geothermal energy can impact climate resilience and energy security. Secondly, Madam President, on the 30th of May, 2025, again, the Nevis Island Administration hosted what can only be deemed as the historic first forum on climate finance for sustainable national island jurisdictions and overseas territories. And Madam President, this impactful forum fostered collaboration and innovation among regional governments, cities, and local authorities, and highlighted the unique challenges and opportunities faced by subnational island jurisdiction and overseas territories in accessing and managing climate finance for adaptation and mitigation. Madam President, the aim of this forum was to set the agenda with a highly collaborative and solutions-driven approach. As such, very tangible outcomes for finance solutions were produced. And Madam President, this SNIJ event had the goals of identifying barriers and solutions for small nation island jurisdictions and overseas territories in accessing climate financing, share successful case studies and best practices, build capacity for climate project development and finance, establish new partnerships and collaboration networks, and develop concrete action plans and recommendations. Madam President, I did say that I will be brief, and it is, in my opinion, but then, Madam President, I would perhaps not venture to share my opinion today, but the feedback from participants and even stakeholders who did not attend is that the sessions were a resounding success, Madam President. I must place on record my heartfelt thank you to the protocol team and especially the hard-working and dedicated staff of the Department of Physical Planning, who were responsible for all the planning and logistics, Madam President, except arranging and organizing our panelists. And Madam President, I also want to extend my sincere thanks to my cabinet colleagues for supporting this event and also ensuring that this event signals that the island of Nevis continue to be open for business. Madam President, with those brief words, may it please you. Thank you.
Thank you, Member for Nevis 1. I recognize the member for Nevis 2.
Good morning, Madam President. Good morning to my colleagues on the government side and certainly those members opposite as well. Madam President, I rise to make a few statements on a number of important matters impacting the island, and I start with the very important topic of geothermal energy. My colleague who spoke before me, representing Nevis 1, would have mentioned the summit conferences that were held here, one, of course, which was dedicated to geothermal. I am very, very proud to announce in the Honourable House that on Monday of this week, we had the opening of the bids for the drilling phase of our geothermal project. It was an event, it was an historic event, Madam President, an event that was carried live via Zoom. It was an open forum, and I wanted to update this Honourable House and the public as to the position there. The geothermal energy project aims to harness sustainable energy from geothermal sources at the Hamilton site initially to meet the base load requirements of not only Nevis but St. Kitts as well. This update provides an overview of recent progress and upcoming steps. We achieved a significant milestone on June 30th, 2025. 5 drilling companies submitted proposals to drill 5 large geothermal wells including 3 production wells and 2 re-injection wells. These wells are expected to support development of a 30-megawatt geothermal power plant, which will provide baseload power for both St. Kitts and Nevis. The companies that submitted bids, Madam President, are some of the biggest players in the geothermal industry globally. Those companies are Iceland Drilling Company Limited, which is from Iceland, Marriott Drilling, which is from the United Kingdom, Ormat, which is from the United States, Consortium Drilling, which is also from the United Kingdom, and IPS USA, which is from the United States, but which is a subsidiary of IPS Mexico. An evaluation committee, Madam President, has been established, and it will be performing the evaluation of the bids. The committee is expected to complete the technical evaluation by July 31st, 2025. That is, by the end of this month. Following evaluation of the technical proposals, the financial proposals for firms which meet or exceed the minimum required technical score will be opened in their presence. The financial proposals will then be evaluated by the committee, and that process is expected to take a further 2 weeks. Firms will be ranked based on their combined technical and financial scores. The top-ranked firm will be invited to conclude an agreement for drilling the wells. I should add, Madam President, that whilst we have been consumed with the drilling process, we have, of course, also been preparing for the next phase, which is the plant construction. And I would want to advise the House that the bidding document for the 30-megawatt geothermal power plant has already been drafted. It is now being reviewed, and the tender process for the procurement for the power plant is expected to commence within the next 3 months. Madam President, I would want to go on record to say that this is a quantum leap forward for this project. You would recall that we had initially indicated that the bids ought to have been opened way back in February of this year. It turned out that that was not possible due to significant technical constraints and concerns. We then extended to May of this year, and some bidders indicated that they wanted to come physically to attend the very conference spoken to by the member for number 1 and to bring their teams to do site visits. And they asked, therefore, if we could extend the period. We did that until June 30th, and I have now reported on the results of that. I wish to go on record to thank the Honourable Prime Minister Terence Drew, who has been working very closely with me and the Nevis Island Administration to get us to this phase and to this stage, and we certainly look forward to harnessing this resource for the benefit of the people of Nevis, but also for the benefit of those of our brothers and sisters on St. Kitts. And so, Madam President, I think that is excellent news. We have definitely now achieved some momentum as we try, and this is in fact the farthest that we have gone in relation to geothermal in all of these years that we have been trying. We now have 5 of the largest companies in the world engaged. And just by way of reference point, the project in Dominica, which is currently ahead of us. In fact, Dominica expects to commission a 10-megawatt plant by December of this year. So they have leapfrogged ahead of us, but in Dominica, the drilling was done by Iceland Drilling, and the project is being done by Ormat. So these are household names in the industry, and I wanted the people of Nevis to understand, therefore, that we have the best of the best that have bid, and we will now allow that evaluation process to take its course and to offer a contract to whoever is the winner. Now, why am I speaking in this way? Because I also want to make it clear, Madam President, that the government has no role in the evaluation process. There is no political involvement in that. A committee has been established, and that committee, which is comprised of technical people from St. Kitts and Nevis and technical experts from outside, through this Caribbean Development Bank, they're the ones who will be doing the evaluation. So we have nothing to do with it, and that is consistent with best practices and the transparency, Madam President, that this government certainly has been known for. Let me move on then, Madam President, to update on another matter. We have heard from the member for Nevis 3 the indication of the Culturama Festival, but it is for me to report that our annual Mango Festival has started. In fact, today they are having the press conference to start the festival. I could not be there because I'm here, but of course our team is an incredibly competent team and they are dealing with that now. It promises to be 4 days of fun. Today, Thursday, tomorrow, Friday, Saturday, and the grand finale is on Sunday. I think it speaks to the quality of this event and the impact that it is having, that two aspects of the event, the cooking classes with our celebrity chef, that's already sold out, and the supper club that is to happen on Saturday evening at Golden Rock is also already sold out. I got some numbers this morning to say that preliminary ticket sales, we have already sold 1,300 tickets for the event on Sunday, and we have a VIP which is being curated by Carambola on St. Kitts. They are indicating that we already have 176 tickets issued for that VIP tent. And so it appears that sales are going well and that the public has been responding quite nicely. I, of course, use this opportunity to invite all the members here in the House, but also the members of the public, those here in Nevis and St. Kitts, and those farther afield to come and be a part of the Mango Festival. Indeed, the good member for number 3 was sharing with me that in a recent trip that he was in Miami, he was approached by someone who recognized him because he hosted the Mango Festival last year. And this person recognized him and said that she had ties to Nevis and she was coming back with friends for the Mango Festival this year. And that is exactly what we want. I feel particularly proud, Madam President, because the Mango Festival was inaugurated under my watch as Minister of Tourism. We felt that Nevis needed something unique, and we thought, why not leverage mango, which we all take for granted, but which is a very popular fruit regionally and internationally. Why don't we leverage our mango into a festival associated and connected with mango? And that is how the idea was born. I will forever give credit to Mr. Greg Phillip, who was the CEO of the Nevis Tourism Authority at that time, because it was during his tenure that we held these discussions and decided to take a leap of faith and to do this Mango Festival. Last year we celebrated 10 years, and this year, in its 11th year, I can truly say it has become an exceptional bucket list event for people, not just here in Nevis and St. Kitts, but from around the region and around the world. And it is fulfilling its purpose of getting heads in beds and visit and traffic to the island at a time, Madam President, when we ordinarily and traditionally enter what we call the low season or the slow season for our tourism. While I'm on that, Madam President, let me speak to the St. Kitts Music Festival. And you may well ask, why am I speaking to the St. Kitts Music Festival? I'm speaking to the St. Kitts Music Festival because I want to convey to the House and to the public how these two islands and the economies of these two islands are interdependent. And that the success of the St. Kitts Music Festival depends in some measure on the participation of the people of Nevis. Just as the success of the Mango Festival and the Culturama Festival depends in part on the participation of the people from St. Kitts. When we invested as a government in the water taxi facility at Wally, there was some hubbub. There's always hubbub. We have what I would call a raucous democracy here in Nevis. You wake up in the morning, there's hubbub. That is the nature of our democracy. It is loud and there's a lot of noise. But we thought that it was wise to invest in that water taxi facility. And which of us in good conscience, Madam President, will not now say that that water taxi facility was a brilliant move for the people of Nevis? We have not only the water taxi facility, but we have the businesses that are operating there. All of the boats that are operating are Nevision-based. And as I like to point out, the water taxi business, which has become such a critical artery for transportation between St. Kitts and Nevis, is 100% based on the island of Nevis. Encouraged, developed, that is what we need. Government with foresight and understanding of how things work. We invested in the water taxi. The captains, the boat owners, and of course the people of Nevis and the people of St. Kitts are the beneficiaries. Now why am I twinning that with the music festival? Because we have had the numbers now that are in from NASPA, our Nevis and Seaports Authority. And I want the public to hear through this rostrum that for 2025, we had some 13,762 passenger movements between St. Kitts and Nevis over, over 3 days. 3 days. I'm sorry, forgive me, 4 days. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. 4 days, Madam President. I want this to sink in. We had passenger movements of 13,762. And you may ask, how does that compare to last year? Well, NASPA was good enough to send that as well. And for 2024, that number over the same 4-day period of the Music Fest was 9,987. So this year, in 2025, we jumped from 9,987 to 13,762 for an increase of some 38%. Now, it doesn't matter what side of the aisle we are on. It doesn't matter, Madam President, what we believe. These numbers speak for themselves. 13,762 passenger movements for St. Kitts Music Festival this year. It is left, therefore, only for me to say to the people of St. Kitts, please reciprocate. And come to Nevis for Mango Fest and for Culturama, because these numbers say that we supported the St. Kitts Music Festival significantly. Almost the whole population. But remember we're counting people twice. Because they go and they come. These are I want to make it clear, Madam President, these are passenger movements. Yes. So if, Madam President, you went and you came back, you'll be counted twice. But for 4 days, 13,762, I believe that that is absolutely incredible when compared to last year, which was 9,987. I want to end, Madam President, by indicating that consistent with my government's approach to governance, to openness, to transparency, that we have started as the NIA a series of town hall meetings. We had the first town hall meeting at Pond Hill in the parish of St. John's just a few nights ago. And tonight, I believe, we will have our second in the series of town hall meetings at the Jessup's Community Center starting at 7 p.m. We are inviting the House, members of the House. Those certainly on the government side will be there. Those in the opposition are also invited. Members of the public to come and to hear about the plans and programs and to have their questions answered. We are taking the government, if you will, into the community. And we are inviting people in the communities to come out and to have an opportunity to engage, to ask about projects, to ask about problems that they may have, solutions that we are trying to fashion, and to try to move the debate and the dialogue and the information sharing in our island forward. This for us is an important part of governance. It's an important part of what we have set out to do, not just talking, but going into the communities and allowing the people that we serve to have a direct opportunity to come to ask. So all of those in Jessops and Cotton Ground, those in Westbury, those all across Nevis, Barnesgut and elsewhere, we're inviting you to come to the meeting tonight. It will be at 7 o'clock at the Jessops Community Center. And please look out in the other villages and other communities for notices as to when we will be with you, sharing what is happening on the island, fielding your questions, and trying to answer and to engage. And also, let me add this, also, Madam President, hearing from the public in terms of what their suggestions and recommendations may be. We are listening, we are reporting, and it is intended to show, yet again, the openness and transparency of this governance style from this administration and what we are seeking to do and seeking to achieve. So, Madam President, with those few words, I am grateful that I was able to report, and I say thank you for listening.
Thank you, Honourable Member for Nevis 2.
Personal explanations. Introduction of bill and first reading.
I recognize the member for Nevis 2.
Madam President, in my capacity as Minister of Finance in the Nevis Island Administration, I seek your leave to introduce and have read for first time the Nevis Limited Partnership Bill 2025.
Thank you. I recognize the member for Nevis 3.
Madam President, I rise to second the motion.
Thank you. The question is that the bill shortly entitled the Nevis Limited Partnership Bill 2025 be read a first time. Those in favor? Aye. Those against? The ayes have it.
A bill to provide for the formation of limited partnership in the island of Nevis and provided for matters relating thereto are connected therewith.
Thank you. The bill has been read a first time.
Adjournment.
I recognize the member for Nevis 3.
Madam President, I rise to move a motion for the adjournment. And on the adjournment, I just want to join with the Minister of Education in congratulating all of the students who are, this is graduation season, and so I want to take this opportunity to congratulate all of the students from the various schools that are graduating this week and the next week. I think we would have started with the preschools as well last week, and so heartiest congratulations. I also attended the Cicely Brown Integrated School graduation. That it was quite a touching ceremony, and I want to also encourage us all to embrace the differently abled among us. I also wanted to just briefly make an appeal on the adjournment, Madam President. I want to make an appeal to our supermarket owners, to our restaurant owners, to our vendors, those who sell provisions, agricultural products in the public market, on the sides of the roads, and wherever you're selling. I want to make an appeal to all who purchase products on Nevis from farmers and would-be farmers. I want to appeal to you, please, to purchase only from registered farmers. Madam President, we have a serious problem in Nevis where people are stealing from our farmers who work very, very hard. There's a farmer who has complained to me bitterly that he has been missing bunches and bunches of bananas and plantain. And it is sad when people work so hard that people just go and steal their products. So I am appealing. I know that maybe some of the vendors or the supermarket owners and restaurant owners may tend to want to purchase things a little cheaper. But you really should not be purchasing stolen goods. In essence, you'll be purchasing stolen goods and selling those stolen goods to persons. And so I'm making a special appeal to those of you who purchase from persons who are farming. and persons who are registered farmers, please do not purchase stolen items. And those of you who are stealing, let me look into the camera. I want to encourage you to desist from doing so. Please desist from stealing from our hard-working farmers, whether it is bananas, planting, even if it's livestock, whatever you're stealing, you need to stop. Please stop. And please stop hurting our farmers who are working very hard. May it please you, Madam President.
Thank you. I recognize the member for Nevis 1.
Madam President, I rise to second the motion on the adjournment, and I want Madam President to also join with members on this side to offer congratulations to those children who are presently going through the graduation process. I believe, Madam President, that while we, the Ministry of Education and the Department of Education, seek to provide the necessary services to educate our children, I also want to encourage our parents or guardians to also partner with the Ministry of Education and our schools. Madam President, I believe that this is an exercise that seeks to highlight the excellence of our children, but I also want to say to those who may not have done as well as they would have liked, that there is still opportunities for them to excel, and I want to encourage them. I also want, Madam President, to say to all those who are listening and viewing to remember that we are in the hurricane season. I want to encourage our people to prepare themselves for any eventuality. I want to say to them to take the necessary precautions, try and get their information from credible sources, Madam President, and when and if there is any hurricane that is coming our way, to try and protect themselves and their property. Madam President, I hope that this will be a season that the forecasters will be wrong. I often say that I hope that they are wrong, because we in these small islands, if we are affected by any hurricane, can set us back some significant years, Madam President. And Madam President, I am hoping that we will not have any such hurricanes for this year, and that I hope that we will continue to do what we need to do to develop this beautiful island of ours. With those words on the adjournment, Madam President, may it please you.
Thank you very much, member for Nevis 1. I recognize the member for Nevis 4.
Good morning, Madam President,
Morning.
members in this honorable house, those listening and those viewing. I rise, Madam President, on the adjournment to also extend congratulations to all of the primary schools, public and private, that are having their graduating ceremonies this week. I am hopeful that I'll be able to attend the St. James Primary School and the VOGN Primary School tomorrow, although there are some conflicting matters. Madam President, I would also like to take this opportunity to extend condolences to the family of young Janelika Romney, who unfortunately has left us way too soon. And I do hope that justice will prevail and that we would not have to experience such occurrences in our small federation again. I take this opportunity also, Madam President, to extend condolences to all of those who are mourning the loss of loved ones, and especially to the family of Henrietta Daniel. They're in Barnsgut, whose funeral is scheduled for tomorrow. Madam President, I would like to join in encouraging persons to participate in the Mango Fest. I think the mango represents significant opportunities for us here in Nevis, and I look forward to seeing us expand the utilization of mangoes beyond the Mango Fest into a full-blown mango industry. Finally, Madam President, I would like to take this opportunity to extend congratulations to the planning team of the Northern Point Development Limited Group that has received planning approval to move forward with their development project. I wish them every success and hope that this project would come into fruition. With those few notes, Madam President, thank you so very much. Might please you.
Thank you, Member from Nevis 4. The question on the floor is if we have no other representations on the adjournment. The question is that this Honourable House be adjourned. Signed aye. Those in favour? Aye. Those against? The ayes have it. House stands adjourned.